Hi, friends. This is Kathy Lanzalanco from Inspire Careers, here with another episode of Job Seeker Spotlight, the video podcast series where I introduce active job seekers out to the marketplace to allow them to shine and to be able to showcase their skills and help to know if you can see them in your organization. I'm really excited today. My guest is Alec White. Hi, Alec.
Hey, Kathy.
Hey, it's good to have you here today.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, very glad. So, Alec, what we're going to do is we're going to start off like every conversation. And I'm going to ask you, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what's going on with you, Alec. Tell me about school. Tell me about you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kathy. My name is Alec White. I'm a recent college graduate from Swarthmore College, a small liberal arts college outside of Philadelphia, where I majored in environmental studies, minored in chemistry, and I was a 4-year member of the men's basketball team there. And so, not a lot of people know Swarthmore too well, but it is one of the most rigorous academic environments in the country. When I went to go play basketball, my coach, in part of his pitch was, he laid it out. He said, "This is going to be the most challenging 4 years of your life. Academically, Swarthmore is unparalleled, and athletically, we don't cut any corners. And so, if that sounds like something you're interested in, then this is 100% place for you, but no judgment if it's not." And I absolutely love to hear that, and I haven't looked back. I absolutely adored my time at Swarthmore. I was a member of the top-ranked basketball team in the nation. The year COVID hit, we were undefeated. We were the last undefeated team in the country after San Diego State lost. And we were, gunning for the national championship. We made the national championship once, and my college career culminated with me being voted a captain by my teammates, which I was endlessly proud of. And so, besides that, when I'm not playing basketball or studying, I love sustainability in all forms. I love being out in nature, and I also have a huge passion for music.
All right, lots to talk about. That's awesome. So, Alec, let's talk a little bit about sustainability, right? That's your major in the chemistry. And I know you're probably a little too humble to brag about it, but you're quite the smarty pants. Like you did very, very well. Talk to us a little bit about the research assistant position that you had in chemistry. Not everybody had those opportunities. COVID was tough, but you did. You have some really great hands-on experience. Just briefly tell us about that.
Yeah, no, I loved my analytical chemistry research position. I was working under Dr. Catherine Riley, who's now a good friend of mine as well. She's actually who I spoke to on my prospective student visit. And she got my dad's jaw on the floor by kind of laying out what the student athlete life is like at Swarthmore. People don't go out on Fridays, and we're doing work. And so, but my program, so the work I did with her was, she was in the process of retooling the chemistry curriculum across the department. She was working with the professor I took environmental chemistry under, Chris Graves, to put almost an environmental spin on the entire chemistry curriculum of the college. And so the work I was doing was analyzing soil samples along the nearby Crum Creek, which is a really important source of water for Swarthmore and the surrounding area. And I was analyzing heavy metal samples in the soil to determine if recent high-rise created in the area had put heavy metals and toxic metals into the Crum. And so she and I worked together to devise a method. We adapted an EPA and a few other journal methods to develop a sampling method. We digested and analyzed the samples, and then used flame atomic spectroscopy, FAAS.
Don't ask me to say that, Alec. I couldn't say it. Good for you.
Yeah, X-ray diffraction, powder X-ray diffraction, and various other techniques to analyze soil samples. And so basically the main outcome of it was we were developing a method that could be used in future courses, and then could be adapted for further research in it. And so basically we determined that there was an increase in heavy metals, but not a concerning amount. And so there was a notable increase from the areas that we tested, but the project correctly was within the rated values for the EPA, and I absolutely love my time.
Alec, what is it about sustainability and clean energy and, going green? What is it about that that has attracted you to that? I mean, it's an up and coming field. There's no question about it. But from our conversation, it's not about trendiness for you. What really is it about? Why do you really want to do this work?
Yeah, from a young age, I, a little soberingly have been exposed to a lot of serious environmental degradation. I experienced firsthand some of my family boats a lot. We spend a lot of time in the water. And so I've seen coral reefs bleached and sharks without their fins, and it's been really sobering. And so I know, sorry to bring, bring down the, harsh the mood, but I just kind of feel it's my duty to protect the natural world for, me, the rest of the world, and, my future kids. I grew up in Southern California. Every few months we were worried that we were gonna have to evacuate, where we did a couple times have our stuff in the car ready to go in case a fire was coming through. And so, and while that is super sobering and pessimistic, I really like to view it with a lot of optimism. And so, I switched over out of a sense of duty, and kind of almost secondarily just heard, like, it was very fortunate that it was a very emerging and trendy field. And I just find so much optimism and passion in working with other passionate people. And I love that it's, flourishing and taking off. And I really now want to kind of be part of that, blazing the trail of the right way to do this and to help guide this awesome new emerging field.
So, Alec, what area are you going to be living in? Because I know you can work remotely and you'll be willing to travel, but what area of the country are you going to be searching for your job?
Yeah, I'm looking to be based in New York City. And so
Okay.
I'm open to travel, I'm open to remote, but I very much would like to be based within the city.
And that's really interesting from your standpoint. You walked us through how you really experienced some things very firsthand, right? Some traumatic stuff when you were a kid. I've never had to pack up my car because of a fire coming up the hill, right? So you've been through that, and it's really interesting as to how that kind of set you on this path. But I'll tell you what, coming out here to the East, Alec, well, you've been out here for school, but there's a whole other, energy in New York State and all kinds of other stuff happening. So it is a really exciting time and a good use for your skill set. And I know we talked because of your, this some of the perspective that you have too, and a very unique experience I want to talk about that might make you really good for consulting type of work too, right? For companies that do sustainability. Why don't you tell people watching and listening to us today, you have one really cool, unique experience, and I don't think anybody else is going to have. Tell us why you have it and how it's going to be applied in your next job.
Yeah, Kathy. So the year COVID hit, I took a gap year from Swarthmore. I weighed all my options, and that was the best for me, and I was extremely glad I did. And so, in addition to while I was taking my time off academically, I was really grateful to be introduced to the Sandler Sales Mastery course. And so I, of course, at first was, confused how it relates to, environmental sustainability chemistry. My dad's a career salesman, but I didn't exactly have an interest in that initially. But Jeff was so awesome in kind of explaining how permeating and far-reaching sales is. It's not just, a used car salesman selling a car in a lot. It's the entire concept of selling everything, ideas, yourself, selling concepts. It's, people kind of have a stereotype of salespeople almost, and it's, maybe obviously it's biased from the course, but it's truly about kind of, people have a problem, or they call it a pain, that they want solved or remedied. And the job of the company is how can they fix that, alleviate that pain. And so I just found it really interesting, the interdisciplinary nature of it, how I loved interacting with different people and collaborating with broad spectrums. And so I think, likewise, I am open to a career in sales, but in a consulting career, I think there's so many possibilities for utilizing it, and discovering pain for stakeholders. And so, while also obviously like crunching numbers and analyzing data for greenhouse emissions and carbon offsets and carbon accounting, there's also just asking the right questions to make sure that you're helping them with the main problems that they're hoping to solve.
Okay, that's excellent. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Is we're all selling something, and it starts with an idea, and being able to influence others and to be able to present that in a meaningful manner for the people that you're serving is incredibly powerful. And briefly, Alec, also tell us about the nonprofit that you started.
Yeah. So during that time while I was taking that course, I was living with 5 of my best friends from the basketball team. And so we didn't just want to be sitting around taking a year off from COVID. And so I wanted to utilize, obviously, as I mentioned, the great academic minds I had with me to make some really positive changes. And so I was inspired by my environmental justice course I took, and our team was making really concerted efforts to kind of try to make some social justice impacts within our team. And so we started what we called Next Play 2020. So Next Play is our team motto, if you will, which is just always looking on to the next thing, whether good or bad. So, in a basketball context, it's, you make a bad pass, or take a bad shot. It's don't think about it, don't dwell on it and let that spiral into further mistakes. It's move on to the next and focus on what you can do better next. And, likewise with positive thing, you make a good shot, do something positive, don't get on your high horse, focus on the next task at hand. And so, in a way, we were trying to next play the pandemic. Obviously it was this crazy impactful time for all of us, but we wanted to see what we could do and move on to the next thing. So my friends and I started a tutoring business where we were raising money for a nonprofit that in the Philadelphia area called Serenity Solar, which I met through multiple of my sophomore classes. They're a really awesome organization. They're doing a lot of really cool work putting low-cost solar in vulnerable communities in northern Philadelphia. And so, I really enjoy tutoring and teaching, and I thought it would be a good use of my skills for a good cause. And so I did that for the entire academic year or the entire COVID gap year we did. And I was really proud of the work I was able to do.
Well, that says a lot. I mean, for once, first of all, being able to start anything like that at your age is pretty incredible. Harnessing the energy of a bunch of young men is another thing, right? And then it's in the area that's so important to you. So, Alec, as we're kind of tying up our time together, what is the one message you want to get across, as you're talking to companies and as you're interviewing and as people are coming into your fabulous new profile on LinkedIn? What is the one thing that you really want people to know about you if they're going to consider to hire you for their organization, whether it's consulting or working right, in the business? What exactly do you want people to know?
Yeah, I want people to know that I can get along with everyone and work in a very diverse group of people. I'm a very natural collaborator. I will do everything to the best of my abilities, and I come at it with a very intense, rigorous academic background and obviously very hardworking personal background. And so combine that with my passion for sustainability and the mission of a company that I believe in, I think I can make a lot of really impactful change.
And we're going to leave it at that because I can't add anything to that. Alec, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. My cell phone is tied to my profile. And my email is there as well.
All right. But you're on LinkedIn because you're doing it, right? So that's where people can find you and they can learn more about what you had done at school, and they can learn more about Next Play, and learn more about your leadership capabilities as well.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. Thank you, Alec. I appreciate you sharing that information with us. So thank you to everyone for listening to Alec's story today. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn to Alec, have a conversation with him, bring him into your network. That would be really exciting for him as well. And in the meantime, just want to thank you again, Alec, for sharing your story. This is Kathy Lanzalaco from Inspire Careers. Until our next episode of Job Seeker Spotlight, live inspired.